I have those vivid nightmares. I'm always been that vivid nightmare person, and it can be scary.
You're the one that's always dreaming of running naked into high school.
No, I'm dreaming that I'm responsible for saving everybody in the high school from the crazy person, and
just hide behind the chainsaws.
Nope.
You're listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, where HIPAA and humor collide to make learning fun. Your delightful hosts are Donna Grindle and David Sims. Relax, HIPAA help is on the way.
Welcome to episode 478 of the Help Me with HIPAA podcast. My name is David Sims of HIPAA for MSPs. Joining me is Donna Grindle from Carden. Or should I say from Carden. That's a pretty bad laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. So yeah, we're doing our Halloween episode today.
Early.
So that gonna do it a little bit early. In fact, Halloween comes early this year. That's the title. Not that it really does. It's the title. Don't worry. Nobody's moved it up on you. So give us a little bit extra time to push it out because, if the thing is on the Halloween episode is people don't listen to it on Halloween, which is usually when we release it. They don't listen to it after that.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
It's like, it's irrelevant now. It's after Halloween. And so as you may know, if you've heard past episodes, we tend to talk about things that are going on, either things that are currently going on or have gone on, in the previous past, near past, not way past.
We've done crazy things. So
we tie them all together and talk about how it is scary out there on the internet.
Yeah. You never know. You just never know what's going on out there. And you and I are absolutely constant paranoid, on edge.
Yeah. It's as soon as I think that I've got it kind of all locked down, something else comes up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't think about that one. Now I got to be careful of that, especially anything that comes up with Android phones, because I have an Android and I don't do a whole lot on it, honestly. So I am probably less likely for something like that to happen because I keep it clean. I don't put a bunch of apps on it and I remove most everything on the thing. Sometimes it's a wonder I even have it. My family always says, "Why do you even have a phone? You never answer it." And
it's there for your convenience.
It always brings me back to my great grandfather. And we were sitting on the porch one day, and his phone, he hadn't had it long. Finally got on a landline phone. Sitting there with him. I'm probably 8, 9 years old. He's just rocking on the rocking chair in the front porch. Phone's ringing and ringing and ringing. I was like, "Grandpa, you gonna get that phone?" He says, "Son, I put that phone in here for me to call out, not for people to call in." And I don't know that he ever answered the phone. So that's what I do. I say the same thing to my family. I'm like, I got a cell phone so I can call other people, not for y'all to call me. What did we do? What did we do back in the day whenever nobody could get in touch with you until you got home?
I know. I remember getting phone calls, getting paged in the grocery store, to go to the customer service desk because there's something on the list that was forgotten.
Yeah, there was that. And then when the actual pagers came out, everybody tried to come up with codes.
Oh, yeah.
If I send you a code of 01, that means get this. 02 means get this. That's like when I was in college, my parents would always say, "Just call us collect." And then when they say, "Who are you calling?" or "Who's calling?" then you say, because it was a recorded message for a while there, remember?
Yeah.
"Please say your name." You're like, "Hey, I'm okay. I'm coming home. I'll be home in 15 minutes. And it would click, go off. And so it would, it would tell them, "You have an incoming call from, I'll be home in 15 minutes. And they would just hang up the phone. So we would game the system. So we could leave a message without having voicemail.
That was back in the day when a long distance call was real expensive, and you made those. You had a plan for what you were going to say, and it was a big deal if you made a long distance phone call.
Oh, absolutely. And the bad thing was, I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, long distance was, 30 miles up the road. And it's like, it's going to cost me how much to call my grandmother who lives 30 miles away?
We didn't have that problem, thankfully.
Yeah, we did. Nowadays people just don't fathom that because you can call anywhere in the country.
Mm-hmm.
There is no long distance
anymore. Yeah, it freaks you out when you go international and all of a sudden you're getting charges and you're like, what are these for?
Yeah, you used to get them all the time for calling somebody down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, talking about something scary. I'll tell you, I think the most fun I ever had though with a landline was you could dial, I think it was *67 or #67 or something like that. You could dial it, and then it would start doing like a busy signal, and you would hang up the phone, and about 5 seconds or so later, your phone would ring. It caused your phone to ring. It was like a test. Mm-hmm. And so I would do that. I would dial it, *67 or whatever it was, and hang the phone up, and I'd take off running. And it would start ringing, and my sister would like break her neck trying to get to the phone because she was a teenager and she thought some boy was calling.
Oh, jeez.
It was so much fun. Anyway, so thanks for those who are listening for today and who have listened in the past. And then we'll be listening in the future. We appreciate it. If you want to know more about Donna and myself, you can go to helpmewithhippa.com. All the information is there about our day jobs and what we do to make a little pretty penny on the side. We appreciate you listening. All right, let's dive into it. Let's talk about Halloween coming early this year and some of the topics we have, because I know you got some myths we want to debunk.
Well, that was the first thing is I'm reading this article and I'm like, how many things are in here in this one situation that you want to say, yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Fortinet is a company that makes, firewalls is the big thing, and network equipment and software security, that kind of stuff, really, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of MSPs that use them, and IT, internal and external IT, use them.
Mm-hmm. Well, they had a ransomware attack, and they stood firm and did not pay. And
that always comes at a cost.
They said it was no big deal. Nothing serious was taken. They didn't hit their, production area. But according to what's out on the dark web, the bad guys said they got like 400 something gigs of data about all the customers. About the customers that Fortinet has. So who knows what is in that customer data? But in that one small article, it's not a big article, it gave us 5 myths that we've always fought against.
Mm-hmm. So you're not going to say the name of the person who posted it on the dark web forum?
No, there's an article on Tech Radar, and you can go read it, but it uses the word witch with a B. And so that I'm not getting in trouble because I just had to get bleeped. All right, so.
It is 40 witch. There you go.
40 witch with a B. Anyway, so myth number 1 that this story tells us, everything's in the cloud so you don't have to worry. How many times do we hear that?
More than we should.
Yeah.
A lot more than we should.
Yeah.
No, everything is in the cloud. You still have to worry.
About the same stuff, just in a different place.
Yeah. And in some cases, you have to worry more because you are relinquishing some bit of control as to what is going on. Now, you and I both know that there's a high likelihood that the vendor probably can do better security than the small little shop or practice.
Yeah.
But there is also an assumption that they're doing better security unless you're doing some due diligence. But the other thing is they're a bigger target too.
Yep.
So they have to put more resources towards security.
Yeah, just ask Change Healthcare.
I got something from them in the mail the other day. I need to read it.
Oh, how exciting. All right. So, So, I mean, it does go both ways. I have access as a small business to software that I wouldn't be able to afford to maintain, manage, license, all that stuff on my own servers.
Mhm.
And it really has opened up that world so that we have access to the collaboration tools and more advanced software that we would not have really had access to before. So it is great. But it doesn't mean that you get to relinquish all of your responsibility to secure it. And so many people believe that. You think, well, I hired IT and I hired a cybersecurity company. I don't have to worry about anything. Really? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So,
So did your IT company tell you that? Because
Yeah.
I bet they didn't.
and your cybersecurity company, neither one of them are going to tell you don't have to worry.
No, not just about security, because this often gets overlooked. You also have to worry about backups. A lot of cloud vendors do not provide backups of the data for you to recover.
Right. They can recover their entire system, but they cannot recover you. And
Hmm.
all by yourself. All right. So the next piece is Azure and SharePoint are invincible. Da-da-da-da. No. Because Fortinet was like, well, all of our stuff was secured in Azure and SharePoint, and they got into some data there and our file sharing thing. And along with myth number 3, AWS is going to keep us safe because it also had AWS buckets. So,
Yeah. Well, the thing about the Azure and SharePoint is it depends on how it's set up, but oftentimes companies will set these stuff up and they'll, it's in your Microsoft account. And how many times do we tell people, do not let somebody have access to your Microsoft account or Google account even.
mhm.
And so you get a business email compromise, which I honestly might as well just change the name of what that is, because it's not business email compromise anymore. It's like business platform compromise, because they compromise everything, not just your email. They compromise your OneDrive account, your SharePoint account, maybe even your Azure instance and whatever else is tied to that account.
Mhm.
So when they get in, they got access to everything. So if you're going to put stuff in SharePoint, and this is a point that I shared with somebody else when they were talking about moving to SharePoint. I said, normally I would suggest that you do that because of what you're trying to accomplish. I said, but you guys just let everybody into your email.
Mhm.
Like, you have more email compromises than anybody else I know. So I don't recommend you go to SharePoint because you can't keep these people locked down.
And if everybody has access to everything, that's another piece of it is, well, we've got these files here and everybody has access to everything because that's more convenient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So every time I turn around, you guys are like, oh, we got a business email compromise. Because you click on everything and everybody gives your credentials away all the time. It's like, no matter what you do. So,
And then
stay away
there,
from it.
the classic definition of business email compromise is where they trick you into paying money with invoices and all this other stuff. And whether they're using your email to get other people to pay invoices, which is a huge thing, say, for some, if they get in there and they know you send out invoices and suddenly they're getting people to pay things with a link to it. It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is another good reason to be on auto pay.
All right. So now we're getting into some of these scarier parts. The first part was like, yeah, I know those things are shaky, but then this companies always notify you of a breach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah. Again, these guys were supposed to, and the criminals pointed out they didn't file the proper forms in the proper time frame. And it's not the first time that we've seen that the criminals are like, look, we're going to turn you in if you don't pay us.
Yeah.
So imagine a healthcare company where they turn you into HHS because you didn't notify, and they know they got patient data. Or even worse, the one that is the worst, where I joked about how people say that my presentations will make you vomit. And somebody said that, and at the end I said, so imagine this happening where they turn you into HHS, or even worse, they notify the patients that they have the data, Dude in the back of the room threw his pen down, pushed his chair back, and said, "There's the vomit. Right there. There's the vomit." So there's the scary part, is that is happening. And while Fortinet insists it's no big deal, still 440 gigabyte data, if they've really got that. And you know, you don't know. You don't know.
But this goes back to what we talked about, I think, last week, where we mentioned how a vendor handles these situations really is telling as far as how I want to continue, or if I want to continue doing business with them.
Yeah.
You know, and like, I don't care what kind of data it was. That's not for you to decide if it's important to me. Well,
and it's the, you know, there's two different ways to say things. And granted, I didn't read Fortinet's thing, so I'm not saying this about them specifically, their announcement and what they said. Not saying this about them specifically, but we see two different ways of making an announcement. Mm-hmm. One announcement is no big deal, customer data, but nothing serious that's not already out there, kind of that attitude. The other is, we are horrified that this has occurred. We have gone through everything, and we now see that it was while unfortunate, it was only customer data and not more secured elements of our network. Two different approaches. Mm-hmm. I want to see the second one.
Yeah. Well, if you know anything about customer service, that's actually one of the things they teach you, which is you should at least appear to be, if not, actually be more pissed off than the customer about what happened.
Right.
So when something happens in my business and I agree with the customer that it was, you know, we dropped the ball, I want to be more pissed off than they are about it. That calms them down, because they're versus me going, no big deal. What are you worried about this for? We'll handle it.
I'm angry about this. I feel violated, you know, all those things. So,
that's the best way to do it. Be more angry than your client.
Yeah. And then number 5, just refuse to pay the ransom and we'll stop this. Mm. No, it's not. It's not.
No.
Because the ransom is, what if this was really, really serious data? Now, granted, we're counting on them to be honest criminals.
Yeah, very true.
So, you know, but again, my thing is that we are telling ourselves less than honest stories if we are not absolutely concerned about all of those being assumptions that people make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So
what do they do?
Speaking of less than honest.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Well, no, we are so fortunate. There are times where researchers have saved the day. Mm-hmm. You know, WannaCry. A researcher saved the day. Ended that one before it got worse. Now, it was bad, but before it got worse, they stopped it before it spread so violently across the United States. This one, we are so fortunate that researchers figured this one out, because I'm not quite sure what it would have taken to figure this one out and how much damage could have been done.
Mm-hmm. It could have been real bad.
It is so... I'm reading it and I'm like, wait, what? Wait, I had to back up and reread it multiple times. So, what happened? First, this involves Whois servers, which are, you know, they're similar, they're the same but different to DNS servers. They're like another layer. Because we've talked before about DNS servers. They're like a phone book. I want to get to helpmewithhippa.com. I go out and ask the DNS server, and it goes, here's their address. And the DNS server then points me to where to go. But there's another layer. So the DNS server has to know where to look. And that's name servers. And those are registered at your domain name. And Whois servers tell everybody who owns helpmewithhippa.com.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we live? How do you contact us? Well, not literally where we live, but you know what I'm saying, figure. But how do you contact us? Who owns this property? But it's like technical and administrative contacts. When did we get this domain? How long have we, you actually pay rent in advance, years in advance. You can register your domain for 10 years or more.
Mm-hmm.
There's all of that stuff is out there. And a lot of security tools will use those Whois server information, to make sure it's a legitimate domain.
Yep.
Right. I mean, one of the things that, and I don't remember what tool we were recently talking about, and maybe it wasn't even you, but one of the things it'll do is if a domain name is new, it's just been registered, it will limit access to it. It will even block access to it sometimes. It's like, until you verify that this is legit, because it's brand new, we're not going to let you click on it or something. So there's those kind of layers. And it's like, oh, okay, I want to set this up on my domain. It will use that to confirm who the administrator is. There's all kinds of things that it does in there. Well, here's what's scary. Whee! Scary door when we open it. The .mobi, M-O-B-I, which is the mobile optimized domains. And there's a Whois server that's responsible for being that one that knows all about the know-all of Mobi. And years ago, it changed its name. It got married. But it was Whois dot and then the name .mobiregistry.net. And it changed its name to whois.nic.mobi. That happens all the time. We change our names.
Mm-hmm.
But it had been a couple years ago. So usually, all that stuff's supposed to automatically just know. You always get that thing, well, you got to wait up to 48 hours for this to take effect.
Mm-hmm.
And usually, if you're having to wait that long, something's wrong. But they realized that that domain name, the original one, no one owned it anymore. The rent had not been paid anymore on it. So they're like, we're going to rent this house.
Yeah. And that is a tactic that some businesses use.
Mm-hmm.
So they keep an eye on your domain or domain that you used to have. And if you forget to pay it, they'll swoop in and get it.
Yeah. And if you're not familiar with managing domains, you'll get this thing that's, you need to pay us, your domain is in danger, and you need to pay us, $50 a year to manage your domain. Do not follow for that. No, don't. Don't do that.
They don't.
Because they'll take it and then you can't get it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so the researchers found that and they thought, we'll just rent the house because it costs $20. So if bad guys had found this for all of $20, they went out there and set up a server just to see what happened. Let's see. In like a couple of hours, 76,000 unique IP addresses were talking to that server.
Wow.
76,000 systems. So, clearly, there's an issue because no one should be talking to it. No one should be asking it questions. By 2 days, it was exploding. 2.5 million different requests from 135,000 systems worldwide in 2 days.
Wow.
What if they'd left it? Oh. Anyway, at that point, there was the vomit. And it wasn't just like random, like, Bubba set up a server and forgot to make sure. No, we're talking military websites, government, mail servers, universities, other big registrars, domain, like other companies that manage domains. We're talking to it, treating it like it was a trusted authority. Now, what that would happen had it been the criminals that found it, so now people better be out there looking for anything that's expired. Because I can't even begin to guess how many things they could have done had they gotten a hold of that.
Yeah.
I mean, you could reroute things. You could steal the domain names and take them over. You could send malware out. You could update domain names that are legit and use those to get a confirmation email and then take over domain. I mean, there's too many.
Yeah. There's a bunch of stuff that could go wrong.
Yeah. And how long would it taken if in 2 days they could have distributed it to 136,000 systems? Can you imagine? No, I don't want to. These are the things of nightmares, David. Nightmares.
Indeed.
That's where you wake up. I have those vivid nightmares. I'm always been that vivid nightmare person, and it can be scary.
You're the one that's always dreaming of running naked into high school.
No, I'm dreaming that I'm responsible for saving everybody in the high school from the crazy person, and
just hide behind the chainsaws.
And nope. What about the running car? Yeah, I'm the one wanting everybody to get in the running car, and everybody wants to hide behind the chainsaws, and I can't convince them differently. Yeah.
I saw a video recently. It was somebody was on a pier and was filming a girl on the beach, and like the seal was coming up the beach running after her, and she kept falling down. And she's trying to run, and somebody posted, white people really do fall down when somebody's chasing them. Like in the horror movies.
Yeah. Just fall down. It's absolutely yes. Those would be.
I mean, you're on the beach. You're running on sand. What are you tripping on?
Sand. But absolutely terrifying. There's so many things. The more I sat and thought about it, the more freaked out I got over what if that had happened. Which is good that it was just a what if. Because the next story is not a what if.
No, but it just goes to speak to being careful of what you click on. And here's your question, Donna. How do you know when not to click?
Never. Just never click.
Somebody's going to be sitting somewhere and be like, why didn't you get anything done today? Because Donna told me not to click on anything.
I can't click on anything. How am I going to get something done? It's just brutal. And this one is a large scale attack on this is happening right now. Which, it started with, okay, we need to inform everybody about this. It's happening right now. And it is very scary. But then I had the others and I'm like, those are scary too. So when you go to a website and we had something happen similar to this where I had to explain, people think when you go to the website, it's like you knock on the door and they give you the whole page. That's just 1 step, 2 steps. That's it. And that is not it. So HTTPS and HTTP, when you send that, you're actually saying to a server, hey, I would like to do hypertext transfer protocol secured, because we only do it with S now. And you type that and you think that's all you're doing, is it's part of telling it where to go. No, it's telling it where to go and how to talk to you. And there's a lot that's frantically happening behind the scenes. It's kind of like, with the telephone, going back to the landlines, when you pick up a telephone on a party line, you could hear all the other lines because you're almost like really connected to them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You're all sharing one connection. And that's how it would work. But just picking up the phone does not connect you to another person. It's not when I dial a number, it doesn't just go ring at their house. Back in the day, that was, very analog. And that's not what happens. I mean, it still goes through all these little steps to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Switches, little hamsters on a wheel, all that kind of stuff, running around, doing things. And that's exactly what's happening on the webpage. It's just happening so fast. Well, they found a way to get into that stuff and trigger it to do something using legitimate, the way it's supposed to work. But it's kind of like when they do it, it's like, oh, let me send you to this restaurant and you get there, but I've poisoned all the food. Doesn't matter what you order.
That's right.
I love this place. I highly recommend it. And I've poisoned everything that you could possibly, if you order it, it will be poisoned. So it's a legitimate link in your email. It looks legit. It's to helpmewithhippa.com, right? It's to the website.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a fake one. But then there's all that gibberish after it that no one understands anyway. I get in there and read it and know, oh, that's the code for this, and I pluck things out of it. But most people just see all of that junk and then they don't care. That's why you get these massive long URLs sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got all this tracking stuff on the end of it.
Yep.
And so what they're doing is they're putting stuff in there that it goes to the legitimate website and says to the legitimate website, hey, how you doing? Could you please send me to this other website?
Mm-hmm.
And it will look like the legit one, asking for your login credentials.
That's not good.
No. So you've clicked it and you're already then, a little bit more relaxed. You're not worried about it once you click it. I know it's a good one. You don't look after that at the top. And even then, it's like one letter off. You're really not going to notice it because you already have it in your head. It's legit.
Mm-hmm.
This is bad. This is bad. This is really, really bad. Because we teach people how to figure out the really bad URLs, but we don't teach them how to figure out this. So the only solutions here, never ever click something in your email, which also causes other problems because we will email you a login link.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, this is why you need to have security on your email.
Yeah, but I email you a login link. It's legit. I normally get that. So suddenly you get a login link to something that you're used to and it's formatted. It looks legit and you are then redirected to a different login. This is why that whole concept of passwordless login, give us your email and we'll email you a link.
Yeah, I've got some of the platforms I use. That's the only way you can get into them.
Yeah. Here is the reason that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It is not a great solution. And the only way to protect yourself from these is MFA, 2FA, whatever you call it, just do it.
Yep.
And hope that you're, you think you're walking down Main Street and you're really in a dark alley. That's how scary it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's nighttime. You think you're well lit in a safe place and you're in a dark alley where you hear the cats going, cans turning over. It's crazy. So, And so then I got thrilled because we could say, at least we tell everybody to MFA, 2FA, and don't reuse passwords. So you're not, even if they steal a password, it doesn't go to anything but that, and I can fix that. And then I see your message.
And then you see my message.
It says, nasty Android threat can steal your 2FA security codes.
Yep.
And it's like, at what point do we just get in a corner and put our head, start babbling? At what point? This is why you go off the grid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like we're running up and down the beach yelling shark. Don't go into the water. Don't go into the water. Then all of a sudden you see the shark walking up on land. You're like, oh no.
I know, right?
It's like, okay, we're screwed.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
Then there's a Sharknado.
Yeah. Or it's a crocodile with a shark fin on it. Strapped to it. Somebody, if so this one just to a little, it's started in Asia, but it seems to be like rapidly spreading and automatically. And this one is like actively happening, but it doesn't seem to be happening here. But you get this banking app, and it's not a legit app, and people fall for that all the time because I'm going to give you some, sign up
free
here.
Money.
Yeah. $50 free, whatever. And
yeah, this is what I meant earlier when I said I keep my phone clean. Like I don't put anything on it unless I have to.
Mm-hmm. And you don't download an app unless it's legit. And even then, some people are like, only from the Play Store or the Apple Store. They still get bad apps in there. There are bad apples in the Apple Store. Anyway,
it's not as bad as a Google Play Store, though.
No. I mean, at least they do some vetting right up front to an extensive level. But
yeah, and there are third party areas where you can go and download apps. And I don't think Apple may not let you do it. Android will let you turn that security feature off so that you can screw yourself over.
No, you can't do that. You can get test apps, but you got to go through a lot of hoops for Apple. But it's kind of like an app is remember when we were kids, it was like you used to just go wherever in the neighborhoods, everybody had candy and you wanted to go get candy. And, so this app is giving away free candy. Mm-hmm. And it's the best candy that you can get. And, and everybody knew where the best candy was. If you just were getting those little, it's just Lifesavers.
Yeah.
They give me one of those cute little Lifesaver boxes versus, big piles
chocolate.
Chocolate. Mine was Reese's Cups. I'm still a fall for those. But, and they would say us, you can't do that anymore because there are razor blades in your apples. And,
oh yeah.
And
they do that every year.
Yeah.
I used to hate the ones that gave you the black licorice.
I don't care for that either. But instead of free candy with these apps, you're getting malware along with the razor blades and chemical weapons and digital bombs, all that kind of stuff. So it's hit all the stand countries is where it kind of spread through, which when I was reading the article, I'm like, I was just at a trivia thing a couple of weeks ago where they wanted us to name all the stand countries. And I'm like, it would have been handy to have seen this then.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have.
I think it's interesting, the quote in the article here where this guy, Rocky Cole, co-founder of a mobile device security company called iVerify, and he was talking about it. He said, credential theft is the number one action being taken by threat actors, and it's so easy to steal credentials on phones. Here we go, where smaller screens, lower attention spans, lack of training, and mixing of personal and professional use cases put people at risk.
Yep.
So remember the BYOD? Yeah. Yeah. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like I called it the other week, it's bring your own breach.
Yeah. It puts a whole different spin on bobbing for apples. That's for sure. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, what is in there?
Yeah. But you got some companies and they do a lot of work on mobile devices.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's tablets, sometimes it's phones, but yeah, you got people that look at phones and tablets different than they look at PCs.
Yes.
Computers.
It drives me nuts. These are computers that make phone calls, people.
Yep. So train your folks. 2FA is important.
Yes. MFA, 2FA, I don't know, 3FA.
3FA.
So yes, everything, you need to look at everything like it's a ticking time bomb. Treat it that way, with that kind of, let's be gentle and make sure that it's not going to blow up. And then you think you've got it all covered. And then, then David sends me something going, it's alive.
It's like you're standing on a mortar, in the ground, a landmine.
Yeah.
Standing on a landmine. It's like, okay, what do I do now? I just click the landmine.
I know. It's like, don't move, David. Whatever you do, don't move.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it, man. It's getting harder and harder to protect yourself because criminals are looking for ways to get around the things that we're doing to protect ourselves. They're not going to stop. It's like no matter what you come up with, and this is why reevaluating your security often,
yes,
at least annually. And even for MSPs and IT professionals, I always say you should be looking at your security stack every year. It doesn't mean you're going to change anything.
Yeah.
But it just means you're making sure that you're still buying the right stuff because maybe you need to switch security tools because of the particular industry you're serving or the niche that you're in or whatever. We all use probably the same half dozen or so kind of applications. Mm-hmm. It's just in different mixtures.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that we all use all the same applications. And so there are some things I'll use that another MSP uses something that's a different flavor. And it doesn't make either one of them better than the next necessarily. They're just different. But you should be looking at those applications every year to make sure you're still doing the right things because what you did last year is probably not good enough anymore. Mm-mm. And if your applications aren't updating and changing and evolving with the threat landscape, you need to move. You need to move forward to something else.
Well, and that's another reason that we say you need to review all your policies and procedures every year.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're reviewing how you're doing these things. And now here are these new things to worry about. Is that in your training? Do you need MFA somewhere that you couldn't turn it on last year, but now you can turn it on? Have you started using new apps that no one's made sure MFA is on? It's those little things that will get triggered in those reviews. And we've never had a policy that required MFA on email. Time to change it. Time to change it right now.
Or we spent all this time creating policies for bring your own device.
Yeah.
And now you hear David and Donna saying, don't do that. Or you went to remote work and now you're moving away from it. Or you've learned things and that needs to change because going to remote work within a 24-hour period during 2020 was different than what it is today.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the things we do, in that 4-year time span it's surprising how different it is and what we do.
Yeah. I mean, and just to give you some context, I think I have changed, every single thing in my security stack over that 4-year period.
Really? Yeah.
I think so. I'm thinking back on it, and I think I might have one, maybe two vendors that I didn't drop or change. I shouldn't say drop. It wasn't that what I had was bad; it just wasn't a good fit for me anymore. And sometimes you start seeing things where they're overlapping, and so it's like, well, I don't need this cost because trying to keep costs down at the same time, doing the best I can to protect people.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, constantly evaluating.
Agree.
All right, folks, that is our show for today. Thanks for listening. Hope we didn't scare you too bad. Be sure to join us again next week. Remember to share this out with somebody that you like or dislike. Either way, we'll take the listen. All right, for Donna and myself, remember that HIPAA is not about compliance. It's about patient care.
Help me with HIPAA. Let's get it right. Protect your patients day and night. Donna and David, the experts on your side. Help me with HIPAA. Let's get it right.
You've been listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, hosted by Donna Grindle and David Sims. The show created to help you with HIPAA. For more information or to ask us a question, visit our website at helpmewithhipaa.com. Neither Donna Grindle or David Sims are attorneys, and they do not offer binding legal advice concerning regulatory compliance. The information in this podcast should not be relied upon or construed as legal advice in any way. Consult your attorney for legal advice concerning compliance with HIPAA regulations.